Welcome to this PoolCop space configuration tutorial. Once your device has been properly installed and the pool connected to your cloud account, you can now proceed with configuring your pool. Log into your account from the Pro app or web interface, pro.poolcop.com for PoolCop products, or pro.dryden-space.com for space products. On the home page, you can change the language at any time. The application is available in 7 languages. Once you've created a new pool device, you are usually automatically redirected to the pool's settings page. However, you can also access the settings page at any time from the client's menu. Simply select the pool you want to configure, click Edit Device, then open Device Settings. The Settings configuration page is divided into 7 categories: the general pool data, filtration, chemistry, inputs and outputs, features, access, and maintenance. Let's start with the pool data menu. Select in this menu the pool type, skimmer, overflow, or spa, and enter the following parameters. The pool volume in cubic meters. Make sure this value is accurate, as it will directly affect chemical dosing, as well as certain filtration modes and filtration duration. Then enter the filtration flow rate in cubic meters per hour. Enter here the estimated average daytime flow rate, ideally measured using a Flowmeter. If no Flowmeter is installed, do not use the pump's nominal flow rate, as it is usually overestimated. Instead, enter a more realistic estimated flow rate. In this menu, you can also activate the anti-freeze protection toggle to enable automatic freeze protection. When activated, if the water temperature drops below 2 degrees Celsius, filtration starts automatically and runs continuously until the temperature remains above 3 degrees Celsius for 30 minutes. Protection can also be based on air temperature. With the air sensor properly installed, filtration is forced when the outside temperature drops below the threshold you define. Filtration continues running and stops 30 minutes after the temperature rises back above that value. Please note that if the freeze protection is turned off, the system will still trigger a warning freeze risk alert if low temperatures are detected. If a freezing risk occurs while the pump is not controlled by the system, or if filtration is set to stop, the alert indicates that the system cannot manage the situation and that immediate intervention is required. Finally, make sure to always click the Submit button to save your changes before leaving a menu. Pump Data Menu. In this menu, start by selecting the pump type you have installed on site. Different variable speed pump models may appear under the same name. Please refer to the VS Pump Wiring Manual available on our website download section if needed. Next, assign a pump speed to each operating condition or filtration cycle. Filtration speed from the bottom drain. Filtration speed from the surface skimmer or balance tank. The speed to use when the pool cover is closed. The speed to use for backwashing. Note that the filtration mode itself is configured in the Filtration Timers menu. If the filtration mode timer is selected, you will be able to choose in this menu the speed for each of the 4 possible filtration cycles. Also, please note that variable speed pumps must be set to external control, and that RPM values for each speed must be configured directly on the pump during installation. The PoolCop space system only switches between the predefined speeds. It does not automatically adjust the RPM values. Refer to your pump manual for detailed instructions. In the Pump Data menu, you can also activate the Pump Protection toggle to enable pressure-based protection. The low pressure alert sends a notification when the pressure drops below the value you define. The protection pressure alert stops the pump when the critical threshold is reached and sends a notification. To correctly set these values, if possible, set the protection pressure approximately plus 0.2 bars above the static pressure measured when the pump is off. This helps ensure full protection of the equipment. Set the low pressure alert value above the protection pressure, but below the normal operating pressure when the pump runs at speed 1. This ensures proper detection of abnormal low-pressure situations while avoiding false alarms. Repeat the same configuration for the second filtration pump, if your installation includes one. Finally, click Submit to confirm and save your settings. Filtration Timers menu. Now let's configure the filtration mode. You have several options. Stop. In this case, no filtration is scheduled. Timer mode. This allows you to program up to 4 filtration cycles per day, each with its own speed. Eco Plus mode. In this mode, the filtration time is automatically calculated based on the water temperature and the pool volume. Set the duration of the first cycle and the start time of the second cycle. The system will then automatically increase the filtration duration according to current conditions. Auto 24-hour mode. Here, filtration runs continuously, using the predefined speeds or suction valve position, if installed. This mode is recommended to ensure the best and most consistent water quality. Finally, after a chemical treatment or a physical intervention, you can temporarily activate a forced mode. Filtration will run continuously for a set period, and then automatically return to the previous operating mode. Repeat the same configuration for the second filtration pump, if your installation includes one. Finally, click Submit to confirm and save your settings. Filter Data Menu. In the Filter Data menu, you can indicate whether a BESGO automatic backwash valve is installed and configure the backwash settings. Start by defining the backwash duration in seconds, the frequency, which is the maximum number of days between 2 backwashes, and the time, which is the scheduled backwash start time. You can also define additional trigger conditions. Pressure. Backwash starts when pressure reaches the defined value at the selected pump speed. Flow rate. Backwash starts when flow drops below the selected value at the selected pump speed. Or both. Backwash starts as soon as either condition is met. Note that if you set the frequency to 0, the system will rely only on the pressure and/or flow triggers. In automatic mode, backwash cycles are triggered automatically, according to the configured settings. In manual mode, you will receive backwash reminder alerts, but the system will not start the backwash on its own. Note that you can also launch a backwash manually at any time from the app. Simply go to Controls, select Filtration Valve, and click Clean Filter Now. You can also do that from the pool dashboard. Open Filtration Mode and select Clean Filter Now. From this screen, you can also view the date of the last backwash, its duration, and the flow rate achieved during the last backwash cycle. Now, back to the Settings page and the Filter Data menu. You can indicate whether a rinsing valve is installed. Please note that a second extension module, PoolCop Edge or Space Pilot, is required to wire and control a rinsing valve. If you are using AFM-activated filter media, rinsing is generally not necessary unless activated carbon is used in combination with AFM. In the same menu, you can also indicate whether a BESGO 3-way suction valve is installed. If so, you can choose the backwash water source, top, meaning water is taken from the skimmers or the buffer tank, bottom, meaning water is taken from the bottom drain of the pool. Using the bottom drain is generally recommended, as it improves backwash efficiency and ensures sufficient water for proper filter cleaning, especially when the buffer tank is undersized. Finally, indicate in this menu whether flocculant is used, and if a flocculation pump is connected. When enabled, the flocculant, such as APF, is injected continuously while filtration is running. Make sure to set the dosing pump flow rate according to the manufacturer's recommendations. The adjustment must be performed on-site using the pump's potentiometer, as explained in our installation video. Finally, click Submit to confirm and save your settings. Flowmeter Menu. In this menu, simply select the installed flow meter type and size. Note that selecting the wrong Flowmeter size will result in inaccurate readings. Next, Define the low and high flow alerts. You will receive notifications if the flow rate goes outside the defined range. Click Submit to save your changes. Circulation Timers Menu. In this menu, you can schedule forced circulation cycles to ensure overflow occurs or to force bottom drain operation at defined times. This function is only possible for overflow pools equipped with a BESGO 3-way suction valve and guarantees proper circulation through the balance tank. Be sure to define a minimum daily circulation time to ensure effective water renewal. You can also activate the Eco mode in this menu. The Eco mode works in combination with the BESGO 3-way suction valve and a pool cover. When enabled, filtration automatically switches to the bottom drain when the pool cover is closed or when the outside temperature drops below the defined threshold. By stopping overflow during colder periods, the system significantly reduces evaporation and heat loss through the overflow gutters, resulting in substantial energy savings. Click Submit to save your changes. Water Level Menu. First, indicate in this menu whether a water level sensor is installed. If a solenoid refill valve is installed, you can activate the Can Refill option to enable automatic water refilling. In the cloud settings, automatic refill can be postponed for up to 3 days if rain is forecast. This allows you to use rainwater to refill the pool and reduce overall water consumption. If a BESGO automatic backwash valve is installed, you can also activate the Can Reduce option. This allows the system to automatically lower the water level from very high to high by using excess water to perform a backwash cycle, saving water while cleaning the filter. For added safety and control, you can also define the maximum refill duration in minutes and the maximum reduction duration in seconds. Please note that if you have a skimmer pool equipped with a BESGO 3-way suction valve and have chosen to perform backwash using water from the bottom drain, you will be able to define in this menu how long filtration will remain in the bottom position after the backwash. This feature is particularly useful for pools equipped with slim skimmers. Click Submit to confirm and save your settings. pH settings. First, indicate in this menu whether pH control is installed. In Mode, select the type of chemical injected, pH- or pH+. You can also select the Read-Only mode. In this case, the pH value is measured and displayed, but no regulation is performed. Then, enter the desired pH set point. The system can automatically adjust this value based on water temperature to help maintain a balanced Langmuir saturation index, reducing the risk of corrosion or scaling. The adjusted targeted pH is updated and displayed automatically. Then, enter the maximum dosing duration. This safety feature prevents accidental overdosing. Set your low and high pH alerts to define the acceptable operating range. You will receive notifications if pH levels move outside these limits. If required, you can also activate disinfection protection. When enabled, disinfection is suspended if the pH moves outside the defined limits. This ensures pH regulation takes priority and helps prevent unnecessary chemical overdosing. Please note, this function operates only when disinfection is controlled by ORP. It does not apply when free chlorine is regulating disinfection. Finally, you can recalibrate the pH sensor if needed directly from this menu. Click Submit to confirm and save your changes. ORP Settings. Enter in this menu the desired redox set point in millivolts to maintain proper disinfection control. Typical set points range between 650 and 760 millivolts, depending on pool requirements. Set your low and high ORP alerts to define the acceptable operating range. You will receive notifications if ORP levels move outside these limits. The ORP sensor can also be recalibrated from this menu. Then select the disinfection method installed. Chlorine for liquid chlorine injection pumps. Bromine, salt. For standard salt chlorination systems, or a Modbus communicating salt system such as DA Space and Ocean, these units are recognizable by their white enclosure without a display. A quark electrolyzer, or the DA Gen, recognizable by its black enclosure with a display. Then, select the parameter that will regulate disinfection. You can choose Read Only. In this case, values are displayed but no control is applied. ORP. In this case, regulation is based only on ORP measurement. Free available chlorine. If you are using a prominent probe, this sensor is only recommended when cyanuric acid is used. Free chlorine. If you are using an ACO probe, this probe is recommended when cyanuric acid is not used. Or a combined mode. ORP plus free available chlorine, or ORP plus free chlorine. Make sure the selected mode matches the probes you have installed on site. Finally, you can define in this menu the minimum water temperature below which disinfection will stop automatically. At lower temperatures, algae and bacteria growth slows down. Stopping disinfection in cold water helps avoid unnecessary chemical use and protects equipment, especially salt systems, which can wear faster in low temperatures. Please note that some salt chlorination systems cannot operate below a certain water temperature. Refer to the manufacturer's manual and adjust the settings accordingly. For Modbus communicating salt systems, you can also configure additional parameters. You can set the cell polarity inversion time, expressed in minutes. This controls how often the cell reverses polarity to reduce scaling, and the chlorine production level, expressed as a percentage. This defines the output capacity of the cell. Make sure these settings are adjusted according to the manufacturer's recommendations and pool requirements. Click Submit to confirm and save your changes. Conductivity settings. If a conductivity sensor or a rotameter is installed, this menu will automatically allow you to choose how the conductivity value is displayed on the dashboard in millisiemens, grams per liter, or TDS, depending on your preference. You will be able to define the low and high conductivity alerts to receive a notification if the salt level moves outside the acceptable range. Finally, you will be able to recalibrate the conductivity sensor directly from this menu to ensure accurate and reliable readings. Click Submit to confirm and save your changes. Remnant settings. The remnant function is typically used when active oxygen or hydrogen peroxide is used as the disinfectant. The injection volume is calculated directly from the pool volume setting, with a standard target dosage of 6 milliliters per cubic meter per day. For accurate dosing, make sure the pool volume is correctly configured in the Pool Data menu. In this menu, you must also set the dosing pump flow rate, expressed in liters per hour. Combined with the pool volume, this value determines the injection duration. The dosage can be adjusted depending on pool conditions, usually within a range of 3 to 9 milliliters per cubic meter per day. Dosing can also be optimized according to water temperature. As the temperature increases, the required dosage rises. Above 30 degrees Celsius, the dosing rate may be increased up to twice the initial reference value depending on conditions. For detailed adjustment guidelines, please refer to the manual. Click Submit to confirm and save your changes. Free available chlorine, free chlorine, and total chlorine settings. In these menus, indicate whether a chlorine sensor is installed and configure the control parameters. You can define the desired set points, the low and high alert values, and recalibrate the sensors when needed. Please note that calibration of the free available chlorine, free chlorine, and total chlorine sensors is required during installation and at regular intervals to ensure accurate and reliable measurements. For detailed calibration procedures and maintenance recommendations, please refer to the sensor manual. Click Submit to confirm and save your changes. ACO settings. ACO is a natural chlorine stabilizer. that replaces the need for cyanuric acid. It is injected automatically once per week, every Friday. The exact injection time depends on the selected filtration mode. With the 24-hour mode, injection starts at 1 p.m. every Friday. With all other modes, injection takes place between 8 a.m. and 6 p.m., provided there is a filtration cycle long enough to complete the dosing. The ACO injection volume is calculated based on the pool volume configured in the Pool Data menu. For accurate dosing, make sure the pool volume is correctly entered. In this menu, you must also set the dosing pump flow rate, expressed in liters per hour. Combined with the pool volume, this value determines the injection duration. The standard dosage for ACO is 25 milliliters per cubic meter of pool volume per week. Click Submit to confirm and save your changes. Rotameter Menu. In this menu, indicate whether a rotameter is installed. If installed, the system will use the flow detection, conductivity, and water temperature measurements provided by the rotameter for monitoring and control functions. If no rotameter is installed, simply leave this option disabled. Auxiliary Menu. The Auxiliary Menu allows you to configure additional equipment connected to the system. Please note that some equipment uses dedicated auxiliaries that are automatically reserved and therefore unavailable for other functions. However, if an auxiliary is not in use, it can be reassigned to another piece of equipment. To begin, select an available auxiliary and define its function. For example, pool lights. Pool lights can be connected to any free auxiliary output. Most auxiliaries offer 3 operating modes. Manual provides direct on and off control. No automatic function is applied. Timer allows you to program up to 4 start and stop cycles per day. You can define the exact times and select the operating days. Pulse defines a fixed on duration and allows up to 4 activation times per day. Once activated manually or automatically, the auxiliary switches back to off after the defined duration. Some auxiliaries can also be linked, or slaved, to pump operation or to the pool cover. For example, pool lights can be linked to the pool cover, so they automatically switch off when the cover is closed. Note that lights can also be set to automatic mode. In this mode, they can even operate according to sunrise and sunset times, or for a defined duration before or after those times. Let's take another example. Select an available auxiliary and choose Heating System. PoolCop Space includes a built-in heating algorithm capable of controlling most heating devices, typically a heat pump. The heating system should be linked to the filtration pump. Once an auxiliary is assigned to heating, select the appropriate heating mode and set the desired water temperature set point. Filtration mode. The heat pump operates only during the programmed filtration hours. Priority mode. The filtration pump is forced on to prioritize heating, allowing the water temperature to rise faster. Schedule mode. Heating is limited to its own dedicated on and off time window. The heater will operate only within this period and only if filtration is running. Let's take another example. Select another available auxiliary and choose Transfer Pump. A transfer pump can be connected to any available auxiliary and configured in manual or timer mode to create overflow. In manual mode, the auxiliary can only be controlled manually using the on and off buttons in the Controls menu. In timer mode, you can program specific running times and select the days of operation for the transfer pump. Please note that if the water level function is installed and set to can refill or can reduce, the pump will also operate automatically to regulate the buffer tank level. As always, click Submit to confirm and save your changes. Inputs menu. The Inputs menu allows you to connect external sensors, switches, or control devices to extend the system's functionality and generate alerts. All input connections must use potential-free contacts. Start by selecting the desired input function from the drop-down list. This tells the system what the input represents. For example, Input 4 is configured for open cover. Next, select the action that will trigger the function. You can choose whether the action occurs when the circuit closes or when the circuit opens. This corresponds to the type of electrical contact used by the external device. Circuit closed. The action is triggered when the contact closes. Circuit open. The action is triggered when the contact opens. It is important that this setting matches the type of contact of the device connected to the input. You can also activate Alert if triggered. When enabled, the system will send a notification whenever the input is activated. This is useful for safety or maintenance alerts, such as a pool cover position, a chemical container empty signal, a flow detection switch, or an external alarm condition. When an input is configured for auxiliary control, additional options become available. You can choose between Pulse Close, Pulse Open. These pulse modes allow the system to send a short electrical signal instead of maintaining a continuous state. This makes it possible to combine the input trigger with the preset operating mode of the selected auxiliary. After selecting Pulse Close or Pulse Open, two additional parameters must be defined. 1. The corresponding edge or pilot module where the auxiliary is physically connected. 2. The aux output that will receive the command. This ensures that the signal is correctly routed to the intended device. For example, an input could be configured as an overflow button. When the button is pressed, the input sends a pulse that triggers the auxiliary controlling the overflow function. Always verify that the selected edge, pilot module, and auxiliary output match the actual wiring to ensure proper operation. Once the configuration is complete, click Submit to save your settings. External Warning Menu. The external warning is typically used to activate an external alert device, such as a warning beacon. It can be triggered when a predefined limit is reached, for example, risk of flooding, high chlorine levels, or any other critical alarm condition. When activated, the system sends a signal to the external device to provide a clear, visual, or audible warning on site. Energymeter. The Energymeter connects to one of the 4 Modbus connectors. It measures total power consumption of connected equipment and sends data to the PoolCop Space Cloud for storage and analysis. For installation and configuration details, refer to the Energymeter IoT Guide. Once declared as installed, select whether the meter is single-phase or 3-phase. Verify the communication status. And confirm the serial number detected via Modbus. Finally, click Submit to confirm and save your changes. Pool Cover Menu. Once configured, the cover can be operated manually from the Controls menu. To enable remote control, a compatible drive unit must be connected to the PoolCop space. The system operates the cover by sending pulse commands that replicate the original key switch or push-button control. Note that remote control of a pool cover can cause serious injury. The pool must always remain in direct view during operation. Before opening or closing the cover, ensure that no person is inside the pool or attempting to enter it. Before any movement, PoolCop Space will systematically request confirmation that no bather is at risk. When declaring that a pool cover is installed, several parameters must be configured. First, select the corresponding extension module number. Next, assign the auxiliary outputs for the open and close commands. Then, configure the pulse duration. This defines how long the auxiliary output remains active to allow full opening or closing of the cover. The correct duration must be measured and adapted to the specific installation. In other words, you should time the full movement of the cover and set the pulse accordingly. During movement, the filtration pump is automatically stopped for safety. You must also specify the input used to detect the open cover position. Finally, define whether the system detects an open cover through an open circuit or a closed circuit. An alert can also be configured to notify you if the cover remains open for additional safety and operational control. Once the configuration is complete, click Submit to save your settings. Jetstream Menu. A countercurrent unit is typically operated by a pneumatic push button inside the pool. When connected to PoolCop space, the Jetstream can also be operated remotely, with a selectable running duration. The pneumatic push button must be converted into an on-off contact before being connected to the input. Once declared as installed, select the edge, pilot module, and auxiliary output. Set the pulse duration, which is the duration for which the Jetstream will be active. Specify the push button input number, and define the activation detection circuit. An alert can be enabled if the Jetstream is activated via the push button. Manual control will be available from the Controls menu. As always, click Submit to save your settings. Device Owner. In this menu, the ownership transfer feature allows you to legally transfer a pool or a system to another person. For example, once your installation has been finalized and the customer has paid, or when the owner is selling the property. To transfer ownership, click Transfer. Enter the new owner's email address and confirm. Please note, this action is irreversible. The new owner will receive a confirmation email. If they do not already have an account, they will be asked to create one. The invitation must be validated within 24 hours. If a company owns the pool, it may transfer ownership while remaining assigned as a pool manager. Pool Managers Menu. Pool managers are companies or individuals authorized to manage the pool. Only the owner can add or remove pool managers. This allows you to grant access to a pool technician, a service company, or a distributor providing technical support. Access may be temporary or permanent and can be revoked at any time. When you invite someone, they receive an email notification and must accept the invitation before gaining access. Pool Guests. In this menu, you can invite a pool guest with limited access to pool configuration and monitoring. Pool Tags. The Bather Public Access feature generates a QR code that can be displayed at a public pool. Visitors can scan the code to view key pool information, including water temperature, air temperature, pH levels, overall water quality. Access is strictly read-only. No settings can be modified. The purpose is simple: transparency and reassurance for swimmers. The direct link provides full access to the system interface. This is especially useful for temporary technicians or maintenance staff who require operational access without full ownership privileges. Depending on configuration, account creation may still be required. PIN code. You can create a PIN code that will be required on site to access the unit display menu via the local app. This adds an additional layer of security for local access. Maintenance settings. For maintenance, we have created the service mode. Service mode is a critical safety feature during maintenance. When activated, it immediately stops all automated processes, including filtration cycles, dosing systems, pump operation. Why is this important? If you manually stop the pump without activating service mode, the system may automatically restart at the next scheduled cycle. This can cause serious issues such as pressure surges or water spray if a probe has been removed. Always activate service mode before working on probes, pumps, or filtration equipment. Service mode prevents any automatic restart. Date and time. The system automatically assigns the time zone based on the pool's registered address. However, it is important to verify that the address is correctly geolocated to ensure accurate scheduling. Alerting. You can choose to receive email notifications in addition to app notifications. Emails are sent to the address linked to your account. This ensures you remain informed, even when not actively using the app. Restore Point Menu. Restore points allow you to save complete system configurations. Daily and weekly restore points are created automatically for backup. but you can also create fully customized configurations. For example, one configuration for summer, another one for winter, and instead of manually adjusting settings twice a year, you will be able to simply switch between saved configurations. Logbook Menu. The logbook feature is particularly useful for commercial pools. It enables automatic generation of PDF reports at scheduled times. You define the export schedule, and the system generates the report automatically. This is ideal for regulatory compliance and health inspections. Data Extraction Menu. Data extraction is a powerful analysis tool. It allows you to export detailed system data over a selected time period. You can search by keyword, for example, typing pH will display all pH-related data. This feature is especially valuable for professionals. You can analyze heating system runtime, chlorine dosing duration, chemical consumption, pump operation time. For example, by combining dosing, pump flow rate, and runtime duration, you can accurately calculate seasonal chemical consumption. This tool provides full operational transparency and advanced diagnostics. Thank you for watching this PoolCop space configuration video.